Good afternoon, students. Today I'm going to take the science subject from class 6, chapter 1, which is known as food. Where does it come from? So, students, initially you can see by the term food there is a question which is called like where does it come from? Or mane bujro je food sungbyang hoite man. So generally sungabo khanakna saimano je food sungboron hoite man sung saibo mano bahaike sungman. So we know that how the food and where does it come from. But mere knowing or knowing merely the things doesn't help. So we need to know much better way. So let's get started. So first of all, students, what do you really understand by the term food? Food mane tom bujinaro. So we basically know food is that which we can eat or we eat as a daily basis, which helps us to feed our stomach as well as to mitigate our hungerness. As well as it is also known, it is the nutrient constituents which helps us provide the essential vitamins, minerals, carbohydrates, proteins, fats, which are the the daily life sustenance essential requirements of our body. So food basically we do not only eat for the purpose of filling our stomach, but also the ingredients or the nutritional values which is contained in it. So let's get started. First of all, here comes a question like before we start the chapter, that is, what did you eat at home today? First of all, you ask yourself, what did you eat so far whole day today as a lunch as well as maybe a breakfast. So some of you might be saying that we had rice, curry, dal, vegetable, meat, etc. etc. So sung saimano je sung food mane sung tamocha rice sung mano, dal sung mano, vegetable sung mano, or else egg, everything. So why do we eat them? So basically we eat them to fill our stomach as well as to get the nutritional values which is contained in it. So we know that generally. And next comes, that is, we know that different types of foods are available in different regions as well as in the different countries, different places. Say for instance, in Tripura we basically eat rice as our staple food, which means obosini sung sobche bisi rice no sini food ba chamani hini sung abono sung chao ba daily basis of chao. Say for example West Bengal. If you move on to West Bengal, you can see their food stuffs are like fish, curd, rice, etc. And if you move on to Punjab, which is in the northwest, you can see them having wheat, bajra, maize, etc. etc. as well as vegetables. And coming back to Tripura, we eat rice, dal, vegetables. So these are the different regional foods or different types of food, and the different people eat in different places. So you can distinguish them. Nung abono differentiate kaimano bobo jagapoti food mantok, and then borro bobo hai food no chanani like kai ba pochondo khalai. Tobon pore sung saimano ingredients. Ingredients. What do you mean by ingredients? Say for example rice. Ingredients to cook rice. What are the ingredients required? That means sung mai sung nathangake tam tamana. First of all, we need rice. Rice, that means mairum hino sung but bangla ko by sung chal hino. The sung local area chawal bo hino. So in order to make or to cook rice, what are the ingredients required? So you need to understand what does the term or the word ingredient means. Ingredients is nothing but it is the necessary different types of eatable things or the required things that is required or needed to cook a food. Say for example, rice is a food. We know that rice is a food. So what do you need to cook a rice or a bowl of rice? We need basically rice which is uncooked, and then we need water. That's all. So by boiling a bowl of rice containing a quantity of water, we can easily cook rice and have it as our staple food or our daily food, as we have in our state, that is in Tripura. So ingredients is nothing but the necessary required materials or the things, natural things that is required or being added to cook a staple food. I have given you an example of rice. That means sung rice song ke tui nangu rice now. Now next, curry. You know what is curry? Means sung saiman je moi hinu sung. So different moi song ke different things but required ingredients now. Example like if you need to cook a dal, you need first of all dal, water, then red chili, dried chili, which is, and then salt, turmeric. So these are the ingredients which are being added in order to cook or to prepare a dal, which we have as our staple food. And if you move on to like, if you just take an example of like say for example meat, to prepare a curry, that is meat, what do you need? Is meat. What do you need? You need meat first of all, and then you need vegetables such as onions, garlic, ginger, potatoes, and some spices, cardamom, elaichi, clove. So these are the different types of ingredients which are required to cook a proper food, which is we are taking it as a curry of meat. So ingredients are the essential added things or the natural eatable things that are added to a specific food item, making it eatable or edible. So here once again you need to really be aware of what does it mean to be edible. Edible, which is spelled as EDIBLE, edible. So what is edible? Edible means all the foodstuffs which are easily eatable by the human being or as well as by the animals. So edibles is nothing but the eatable food items which are not harmful, which are not poisonous to the human being as well as the animals. So these are the edible things. Example like fruits, vegetables. So these are the things which we can eat and we can call them as an edible. Next, if you move on, we have food materials and the sources. Food materials we can easily know. These are the eatable things which we can take as our daily basis eatable foodstuffs. And sources. What do you mean by sources? You really need to know what is the meaning of the term sources. Sources means it is the specific habitat or the place where we can get a specific or a particular foodstuffs or anything, can be anything. Say for example, the sources of food like rice and wheat. You know what is rice and wheat? Mai te gom hinusungbono. So burun hoite phayabo. Rice as well as the wheat. Maislam hoite phayo. And what do we call it in English? That is called as a paddy. PADDY. So we know that the sources of rice and the wheat is or are paddy. So you really need to know what does the sources actually mean. And now moving ahead, food items like milk, egg, meat, where does it come from, or where do we get them from? That means the sources. sources, sources. So the food items like milk, egg, milk, egg, and all the fatty things which we can get from basically from the animals, or we can say from the flesh of the animal. So here animal acts as the sources of milk, egg, meat. Now egg, if you take an example of egg, we can get egg from the hens, and as well as from the duck, we can say. So for the egg, the sources of the source becomes here the hen or the duck. As well as for the meat, we are dependent on animals, say for example pork, pig, chicken, fish. So these are here the sources of meat. And essentially milk, we all know where do we get milk from. We get the milk from mostly from the which we use as a we take as well as from our childhood, that is from the cow, as well as we can also get from the goat. So now here you can understand what does the sources really mean. It means where some of the food items or the edible things which we can get from, that means the source. So if you have to give an example of source, you can get like plants or animals. Now I have explained you what is edible. Now moving ahead, you have to know plant parts and animal products as food. We consume several kinds of plant parts or the parts of the plant as a food, as well as we also consume or we take the animal products as a food. So we know that the majority of the sources of food we get from plants in the form of, say for example, fruits, stems, flowers, roots, leaves, shoot, and seeds as well. So these are the different parts of a plant which we eat them, or which we consider them as edible, which means eatable, and we eat them regularly, daily, as our food. And I've explained you what does the food mean. So what we can call them, say for example fruits, we can call it as edible, which means eatable. And stems, we also eat the stems. Say for example pumpkin stems, we take it as a vegetable. As well as flower, cauliflower, we also eat it as a cauliflower. As well as pumpkin flower, also we eat it as a food. Roots, example of roots, carrot, we eat it as a food. Leaves, say for example pumpkin leaves, we also eat it as a food, that means it is edible for us. And shoot, bamboo shoot, muya hinusung, that means the tip part, the sakani tip part, the soft tender part of a plant, we can call it as a shoot. We also consume it as a food, that means these are edible. As well as seeds, basli, dal, this is also seed, so we eat them as seeds. So here all these things we have all come to know about the food and where does it come from. So you have to know and think about where does the food come from, and ask yourself and look around what are the foodstuffs and where do you get it from. Thank you.